First story. The Lamplighter of Briar Hollow. I've lived in London for almost 3 years now, and I've never seen fog like that night. It wasn't just thick, it was suffocating, pressing against windows and soaking into your lungs like damp cotton. I was renting a short-term flat in Briar Hollow, a secluded little suburb to the southeast, known more for its Victorian lampposts and cobbled alleys than anything else. I'd flown in from Houston on business. My name's Daniel Fletcher, marketing executive, divorced, no kids. I had 2 weeks of meetings and presentations ahead of me, but that night was supposed to be downtime. I just ordered Indian takeaway and opened a bottle of cheap red when the lights went out. Not just in the flat, the entire street. At first, I thought it was a blackout, but something about the way the darkness crept in, like it was waiting, made me uneasy. I stood by the window. One of those antique lampposts flickered, just one, and in its faint orange glow, I saw a man. He was tall, too tall, wearing a long coat and a top hat, holding a long pole like those old lamplighters from the 1800s. He moved from lamp to lamp, but instead of lighting them, he was snuffing them out one by one. I blinked. That couldn't be right. I grabbed my phone, but it wouldn't turn on. Battery dead, even though I'd charged it less than an hour ago. Same with the TV. Nothing worked. Even my watch had stopped. The man was getting closer. He moved slowly but deliberately. Each time he reached a lamp, the light vanished, and the fog thickened. I backed away from the window when he reached the one right outside. I swear he looked up at me, but there was no face. Just shadow under the brim of his hat. A knock echoed through the flat. Not at the front door. At the back. I didn't even know it had a back door. It was supposed to lead into the alley behind the house, but I hadn't thought to check it before. Another knock. Louder. I crept down the hallway, heart pounding in my throat. The doorknob rattled. I froze. Then came a whisper, dry and distant, like dead leaves blowing across stone. "Come light the way." I bolted. Upstairs, into the bedroom. I locked the door and wedged a chair beneath the handle. From the small window, I could see the alley. There were more of them. Lamplighters. Dozens. All identical. Moving slowly, deliberately, like insects crawling toward a flame. Every lamppost they passed died. And then I saw the fog wasn't just fog. There were things moving in it, slithering, twitching shapes, pale hands pressing against windows from the outside. Something scraped against the roof above me, a dragging sound. Then another whisper from the ceiling vent. "Your light is next," I screamed, loud. Nobody came. Nobody answered. I don't know how long I sat there, gripping a coat hanger like it was a weapon. But just before dawn, everything stopped. The fog vanished. The lights returned. No sign of the lamplighters. No scratches. No footprints. Nothing. I ran. I checked out of that flat before noon and booked a hotel in the city center. The landlord didn't even question it. In fact, he seemed relieved. Told me quietly, "You lasted longer than the last one." I filed a police report. They chalked it up to stress and jet lag. But I know what I saw. Back in Houston, I tried to forget. For a while, I did. Until last night. I was walking to my car after work, just past 11. The street was quiet, still. And then, beneath a flickering lamppost at the edge of the parking lot, I saw him. The coat, the hat, the pole. He turned slowly toward me, and this time I could hear them all, dozens of voices, whispering in unison. "Come light the way." And behind him, a trail of lights began to go out one by one. I don't think I can run anymore. They found me, and they're not just in London. Second story, Whispers Beneath Westminster. It started on a cold Thursday night. I was transferred to London for a temporary assignment, part of an interagency exchange program. My name's Marcus. I'm with Homeland Security, and my job was to observe British counter-terrorism efforts for 6 weeks. Sounds normal, right? But London wasn't what I expected. My flat was in Westminster, a few blocks from Parliament. The place was old but well kept, Victorian architecture, creaky floors, stained glass windows. The kind of place that whispers to you in the dark, even when no one's around. The landlord, an elderly woman named Mrs. Cawthorne, warned me not to go below. I laughed it off, assuming she meant the basement was off limits. But she was dead serious. "There's something down there," she whispered as she handed me the keys. "You'll hear it around 3. I figured she meant the London Underground, Subways rattle under the city all the time. I didn't think much of it until that first night. At exactly 3 in the morning, I woke to a sound like metal dragging against concrete. It wasn't from the street, and it wasn't from above. It came from beneath the floorboards. A deep, groaning scrape, followed by what sounded like distant whispering. I got up, checked every room. Nothing. I even looked outside, quiet as a graveyard. The sound stopped after a few minutes. The next morning, I asked around. No one heard it. Not the neighbors, not the coffee guy on the corner, nobody. Night 2, 3 o'clock. Same sound, but this time the whispers were clearer, like someone mumbling prayers or curses. I couldn't tell. I pressed my ear to the floor. There were voices down there, multiple. One of them was crying. I went to confront Mrs. Cawthorn. She opened the door, looked me in the eyes, and slammed it shut without saying a word. By the end of the week, I couldn't sleep. The whispers became louder, more distinct, and they always came with that dragging sound, like someone pulling something heavy across stone. I recorded it, played it back, static, every single time. One night, I snapped. I pried open the locked door to the basement. The stairs were steep, narrow, and the air got colder the further I went. I turned on my flashlight, weak beam flickering. The basement was huge, much bigger than the footprint of the house. Brick walls, damp floor, and something that looked like an old iron gate embedded in the far wall. It had markings, scratched into the metal, symbols I didn't recognize. And that's when I saw it. A man, no, something shaped like a man, standing behind the gate, pale, long-limbed, eyes black and sunken. He didn't speak. He just raised a single finger and pointed behind me. I turned. The basement door was shut. I bolted to it, but it wouldn't budge. I pounded on it, screamed. No answer. The whispering began again, louder now. It echoed through the walls, through my bones. And then, I woke up in my bed. 3:01. Was it a dream? I looked down. My socks were wet, mud on the floor. That day, I asked to be reassigned. They laughed, said I had only been there 2 days. I insisted. They denied the request. That night, I boarded up the basement door. I stayed up, lights on, TV blasting. But at 3 o'clock, everything died. Lights out, screen static. And then the whispers came, angrier this time, accusatory. I swear someone was in the room with me. I left the next day, found a hotel near Heathrow. When I returned to collect my things, the building was cordoned off. Police tape, forensics. Mrs. Cawthorn had been found in the basement. What was left of her, anyway? The police ruled it animal attack. Inside a locked cellar. They wouldn't let me back in. But they did let me listen to something. A tape recorder found next to her body. Static, mostly. And one whisper, clear as day. Marcus, come back. I didn't. But sometimes at 3 in the morning, even back home in Seattle, I still hear them. Scratching, whispering, calling me back. Third story, fog never lies. I never believed in curses. Not until I stepped off the train at King's Cross Station, suitcase in one hand, the other gripping my phone as I messaged my brother Thomas. Made it. You sure this place is okay? No reply. Typical. He always dragged me into weird situations. This time, a last-minute job offer in a sleepy London borough called Blackheath Vale. He claimed it was an easy gig, house-sitting some old property while the owners were abroad. But from the second I arrived, things were wrong. It started with the fog. I know London is known for it, but this wasn't the kind that floats gently through streets. It was thick, choking, and unnaturally still. It clung to me as I dragged my bag toward the house, a towering Victorian mess on a hill, tucked between decaying oak trees. The key was under the mat, just like Thomas said. Inside, the air was colder. Not just temperature, but heavy. Oppressive. The wallpaper was peeling. A grandfather clock ticked somewhere in the dark, and something about the silence made my skin crawl. That first night, I heard footsteps above me. The house only had one floor. I stood frozen in the kitchen, the ancient pipes groaning behind the walls, my heart threatening to rip through my chest. I called Thomas, straight to voicemail, again and again. At 3 in the morning, the whispers started. They weren't loud, not at first, just soft murmurs, like someone talking through a wall. I pressed my ear against the cold plaster. He shouldn't be here. Wake him up. I bolted out of the room and slept in my car until sunrise. By the second day, things escalated. My phone started glitching. It played static when I tried to call out, and I kept receiving strange texts. Just one word, repeated again and again. Return. I tried to leave. Car wouldn't start. Battery dead, even though it was brand new. I walked to the nearest house. Empty. All of them were. The entire neighborhood was abandoned, streets covered in mold, mailboxes overflowing. But someone, or something, was watching me. I saw it in the corner of my eye. A tall, pale figure with long arms and no face, standing inside the fog, always just far enough I couldn't make out details. That night, I found the basement. I didn't even know the house had one. The trapdoor was hidden beneath the carpet in the hallway. It creaked open like it hadn't been touched in years. My flashlight flickered as I descended. The smell hit me first, rot and damp earth. Then the wall carvings. Symbols I didn't recognize, deep gouges in the concrete. There was a chair in the center of the room, iron shackles hanging from its arms, blood dried on the floor beneath it. And on the wall, written in black ink, or something worse, was a single phrase, "The fog remembers." I ran. I made it out, up the stairs into the hallway, only the hallway wasn't there anymore. The architecture of the house had changed. Doors were in the wrong places. Rooms stretched into corridors I hadn't seen before. That was the first night I saw her. A girl, maybe 6 or 7. She wore a white dress and her eyes were completely black. She stood at the end of the hallway, pointing, not saying a word, just pointing. I backed away. Every time I turned, she was closer. I locked myself in the bathroom, slept in the tub. On the 4th day, I found Thomas, or what was left of him. In the attic, sealed behind a boarded-up wall, his body was contorted, mouth open in a scream that never got to finish. His eyes were missing. A note was pinned to his shirt. He wouldn't return. I screamed. I cried, but no one came. I tried calling the police, but the phone just laughed. A deep, raspy, wet laugh. Now I knew what the house wanted. What the fog wanted. It wasn't just feeding. It was remembering. Punishing. I went to leave, even if it meant walking through the cursed fog. I reached the edge of the property and found myself back at the front door. Again, and again, and again. I started to forget what my own voice sounded like, what year it was. On the 7th day, I gave up. I sat in the living room and stared into the fireplace that never lit. That's when they spoke to me, not whispers anymore. Loud, angry, return what was taken. I screamed, "I don't have anything." But they didn't believe me. They started taking parts of me. First my reflection, it vanished from every mirror. Then my shadow, then my memories, one by one. Now I sit here, writing this on scraps of wallpaper. If you're reading this, it means the house let you in, but it won't let you leave, not until it gets what it wants. The fog never lies.